Ik dacht dat ik niet eens punten kreeg.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the rerun, the Slowpoke versus the Slowpoke, who can't read what Safety Goggle does. Neither of them read their own team sheet, but now they have learned. They now know. Let's see if they have fully evolved into their final versions, as this is finals of the Namur Cup. The winner will go home with 50 beautiful championship points, while the other one will go home with 40, which is still beautiful, but less, 10 less. Like, just give up. So we've just came back from these players playing already. So let's take a look if the adaptations from Charel's side could prove to be enough. He already mentioned that he was tired and could not be bothered anymore. But these matches are interesting to me at the very least. So let's take a look at what these players will be bringing. All right, let's take a look at what these players are bringing. We have the Among Us and Landers League from Charel, while on the other end we have the Urshifu plus the Among Us. So this is like the Landers doesn't really mind the Among Us being on the field, as you can sense here. Storm, for example, you can still Earth Power just as well. The Urshifu really doesn't mind that his Among Us is on the field, because of course it is Safety Goggles. It is able to ignore it fully. So let's take a look at what these players are locking in right now. We have the Terra coming out from Charel. Is he doing a Shmon? Is he gonna do it to him?
Is he going to Rage Powder?
All right. I swear you Rage Powder. All right, we have the Terra Water onto the Landorus. It is the tech from the Urshifu itself, trying to stay safe for at least one more turn as the Sandseer Storm is coming out. It is not touching this Urshifu, but it will be hitting the Among Us for a lot of damage there. As right now, Pollen Puff is going into that Landorus and trying to heal it up just a little bit, a little smacker, like a little bizou, as the Spore will come out into that Landorus slot and it will fall asleep just as well. Among Us not really feeling like a very useful Pokemon right now, as the Urshifu is able to just keep going for moves onto it because it can fully ignore this Among Us. Then again, we can see what happens here. We can see what happens here in just a second. Indeed, he's switching in into that Among Us slot, being able to prove to be maybe a little bit more useful in that regard. As we have the close combat into that Lander slot, is it going to be enough? It is not enough to kill just yet. The defense drops as well. But now with Indeedee on the field, it is able to redirect both the Urshifu and the Among Us as well, with the potential Spore and everything. Sludge Bomb, is it going to be enough to KO it? It is. That is a full-on KO onto the Lander slot. It took a nap. It did not do its job, but it has done quite a bit of damage onto the Among Us already as well. So, with Indeedee on the field, we have the Calyrex Ice coming in just as well. The Among Us is already chipped down enough that you are able to Glacial Lance or even just high horsepower into any of these slots. The Urshifu is, of course, -1 as well. Switch outs could happen. Switch outs could just very well not happen, because that is, of course, the great place, because you always have to think about the Pokemon in the back as well. Because as we know, the Terra Water Among Us could very well just shake off any sort of Glacial Lance that this Ice Rider might be throwing at it, as on the other hand, a Helping Hand High Horsepower could prove to be enough just as well. There's no Terra anymore onto this Ice Rider either, so let's take a look at what the options chosen were. We have the Among Us switching out, and with that, that does mean that Zamazenta is coming in. Then getting its defense raised just as well as the Follow Me from the Indeedee will try to redirect any sort of move coming in from the opponent. It is Surging Strikes into that Indeedee, and as we see that this Urshifu is taking it like this Indeed is singing quite like a champ, decently bulky, as we saw that it was able to survive a crunch earlier, and this time it is able to survive Surging Strikes. We have Glacial Lance coming out just as well, not doing all that much damage, but damage is damage nonetheless. As it's Zamazenta that is the fastest thing on the field, it is able to move before this Indeedee. It is able to move before the Indeedee. It is able to make sure that the Indeedee goes down, and that the Urshifu is able to get in a move just as well. Indeedee going for the helping hand. Follow me again. Indeedee will go down to the body press. Now there's only Urshifu left to move right now. Urshifu will be going for those Surging Strikes. Let's see how much damage this is doing. We already know that this Urshifu is, of course, the Jolly version, so it is not able to kill this Calyrex. It is able to do decent enough damage right now because Calyrex does have amazing defenses. High horsepower into the Urshifu is enough for the kill, meaning it is getting that attack raise that it really wanted, and the Pokemon with its safety goggles is now suddenly gone. Now Joshua has to consider the Pokemon that are still onto the field. We have his own Amoonguss that could be switched in, but then could die to a Glacial Lance, or even maybe a high horsepower A +1. We are unaware of the spread that Charel is using as of yet. We have seen that high horsepower did not all that much damage, but a +1 can shift things quite a bit, as Chimpao is the Pokemon of choice, as Amoonguss is coming in. So with Amoonguss on the field, you are able to redirect moves just for a little bit, but is that something you want to do right now? Now with Chimpao on the field, we actually this body press could do a lot more damage as well. Well, a lot more, at least a bit more damage. Oh. Alright. It's a gunship. Pak maar. Alright, taking. Okay. Amoonguss taking the Ice Spinner. Rocky Helmet hitting it. And now it's onto the battlefield. Body press will KO the Amoonguss. Amoonguss did Rage Powder then, as the Ice Rider is the only Pokemon being able to move. And Ice Rider is going for that Glacial Lance, trying to deal as much damage as possible right now. Doing quite a bit, but no KOs as of yet, as it is the sole Pokemon versus these three right now. And voila, there we are. Calyrex fainted, and that is the conclusion of game one. So very well played there by Joshua. Joshua?
Moi j'avais 4 chances, on peut gagner. Oui, c'est ça, et là, on est attendu avec mes belles. Parce que là, j'ai sorti à la fin parce que je m'en trompais deux, c'était un peu. Mais t'avais super, t'avais toutes les réponses. Ah ouais, de bloqueur. Même si j'étais naïf, il y aurait moyen que je ne veux pas de tenir. Je fais contre le deck normal. Est-ce que c'est masse rapide?
Alright, let's look in for game 2 of our finals right now. So we have seen different variations and different leads, but what we do know is that Amoonguss has been a deciding factor for both of these players a lot of times. Of course, they're restricted just as well So being able to choose what to do right now. The players are set. The stage is lit. Let's take a look at this. Fantastic game 2. This is game 5 already for these players. These players have just been at it time and time again. So let's see if one of them can out-muscle the other with their mind right now. We have the leads. It is Calyrex and the Indeedee from Charel side, while it is the Team Power and the Zamazenta. No Amoonguss in the lead, so this Indeedee not proving to be super useful, but still being able to redirect any sort of moves as the players are still connecting, as these games are amazing, of course, but being in this position, Psychic Terrain will be turned up. Ice Spinner could just very well be the move of choice for this Team Power, being able to make sure that Terrain is gone, and then later on you are able to Sucker Punch. If the Indeedee should faint, you're able to crunch, and maybe with a high roll we can kill the Indeedee, but we saw earlier that the Indeedee was able to live it in the red, so maybe it can just do that again as the Calyrex ability is activating, and with the amount of damage that Zamazenta can now perform with this defense boost, with body press and with Team Power on the field, this could very well prove to be the most useful tool right now in this matchup, because a body press will stay strong. So let's take a look at what these players are locking into. Indeedee is actually the Pokemon that is switching out right now. It is the Amoonguss coming in. So I am expecting here a potential Terra. It is the Terra onto the Calyrex yet again. We've seen the Terra not shift many times from the Calyrex, but now here it is again onto the Calyrex Ice. So Calyrex Ice, Terra Water being able to resist any Dark type moves. We have a Crunch coming out into the Amoonguss slot. Rocky Helmet will break that Focus Sash. That is nice for later. Body Press doing a bit more damage, as we said, onto the Calyrex. But now with Trick Room up, Amoonguss on the field, you're able to spore something here very well, while the Calyrex is able to Glacial Lance just as well. The other option, of course, is Amoonguss does have Pollen Puff, can even try to heal the Calyrex just as well. There's options here, so I feel like this was a very good turn 1 play from Shadow, being able to get the lead on in this situation. But for example, if the Chimpa went for Crunch onto the Calyrex, still that could have been enough to get out with a body press onto this Calyrex Ice Rider, as we have the switch up from the Chimpa into that Amoonguss. So we have to protect coming out from the Amoonguss. We have Pollen Puff just from the Amoonguss. That means no Spore incoming, expecting a switch out. Calyrex back almost to full health as a high horsepower. Wanted to go into the Zamazenta slot, but not proving to be very effective right now. So now Amoonguss versus Amoonguss. This is just a tale as old as time, as the Amoonguss Wars is something to be feared of. No Terra on either of the Amoongusses right now, so they can be put to sleep against each other. The Terra has been used already onto the Cali Ice, but it is just a game of like deciding what to do. Amoonguss is actually the one switching out from Charel's side, so opting to not go for the Spore here into that slot. We have the Protect from the Calyrex Ice right now. We know that the Zamazenta already took last turn, so it's not going to do it the second time. Spore into that Calyrex slot, not affecting it at all, as now Body Press going into that Calyrex slot just as well. So a very good and safe switch from Charel here, predicting that both Pokemon were going to target the Calyrex Ice slot. And now with Indeedee, you are able to redirect both moves just as well with Follow Me. If only there was a Pokemon that could ignore Follow Me. Dark types. Yeah, give Dark types more buffs. Alright, rock types. Okay, but we are in Trick Room. This is second turn of Trick Room. Amoonguss does have the potential to Spore if Indeedee does not go for Follow Me, because it is safety goggles, as both players have read on the sheet. We have the switch out from the Amoonguss, so that means Glacial Lance will not be the one to do all the damage, as it is going to be Urshifu switching in quite safe. Indeedee going for the Follow Me, trying to make sure that no Spore was going into that slot. As the Glacial Lance is coming out, it is still at neutral, doing decent amount of damage. Earlier it was a -1 Urshifu, why it took that much damage, but now with the Indeedee taking just a bit more thanks to that body press right now. So Amoongus is still in the back. Amoongus cannot deal all that much, do all that much versus this Urshifu or versus this Indeedee, as Indeedee is the one opting to switch out, going back into the Amoongus. Charel is having this little mess around with two Pokemon that can redirect time and time again, as the Urshifu is the one opting to protect, trying to make sure to keep it safe. High horsepower from the Calyrex into the Samazenta, just keep chipping, trying to keep chipping that down. Body press into that Amoongus, and with that Rocky Helmet damage, it will get chipped down just a little bit more as well. And now the Twisted Dimensions have returned to normal. Urshifu is able to ignore the Amoongus, but the Zamazenta is, however, not really able to ignore it at all. Rage Powder could redirect any sort of body press or double up onto this Calyrex, so this Calyrex sets up Trick Room yet again. But those are the options that you are having right now. It is still a dangerous game, as Indeedee has been chipped down as well, so a Sludge Bomb plus later on Poison could prove to be effective onto the Indeedee as well. So these players know that health is their the way to win, and trying to see that the Pokemon stay healthy and being able to survive any sort of hits here might be key right now, as we have the heavy slam from the Zamazenta into the Amoongus. Amoongus still hanging on by a thread as the Rocky Helmet takes a little bit more damage. Close combat into the Amoongus, and Amoongus will be the one going down. So Amoongus will not be one being able to be the health pack for this Cali Ice, as the Rocky Helmet will take a little bit more chip onto either of these Pokemon right now. Now high horsepower into that Urshifu will be able to KO it, and will make sure that this Urshifu is no longer able to deal, as now the attack race makes this Calyrex Ice just a little bit more scary to deal with. Yoshua has to decide here what the possible options are, as Shadow has to decide just as well what Pokemon to bring in. We have seen earlier that the Indeedee was an option to bring in. There's a Amoongus coming in, and on the other hand we have the Landorus Incarnate. And Landorus Incarnate is a very solid choice, as it is able to Earth Power into either of these slots, or even Sandsear Storm, together with Calyrex being able to go for another move here. Indeedee was a little bit rough, because if the Indeedee let in, it could have been KO'd by the Zamazenta there by body press, and then with Terra Water Amoongus you were able to spore the Calyrex, but still it is rough to call these switches here, as now on this board state you have to decide what to Terra, what's the important move here to do, because you can't just protect both these Pokemon, because the scariest thing is, of course, this Calyrex being able to set up the Trick Room yet again, as we have the Terra coming out into this Amoongus from Joshua's side. It is able to make sure that it is able to resist any sort of Glacial Lance right now. It is going to do less damage, but a high horsepower or even Earth Power double up could prove to be fatal. Protect from the Zamazenta right now. So let's take a look at what these players have decided to do. This Earth Power into the Zamazenta slot, not working out right now for Charel here, as the Calyrex is going for the Glacial Lance into that Amoongus slot. Not going to do all that much. That means that Amoongus might get a free Spore on either of these Pokemon right now, as the Glacial Lance actually decent damage, not gonna lie, as the Spore is coming out and is able to deal with the Cali Ice. It is still not over, as the Amoongus has taken quite a bit of damage. Is it able to survive an Earth Power? Is it able to survive a Sandsear Storm? These are questions that we can all ask ourselves what the next line of play is. The Zamazenta is unable to KO this Landorus in one hit. It will need some sort of damage already. The Amoongus is able to redirect, but not Sandsear Storm, so you're might lose a turn if you Wide Guard any Sandsear Storms, and then instead of goes for an Earth Power, it could prove to be fatal. That is a very powerful body press. Sandsear Storm not knocking out the Amoongus just yet. 9 HP, being able to survive it. That means this Amoongus is yet again able to freely move. Calyrex taking its first mandatory turn of sleep. Now with that mandatory turn of sleep comes this Spore onto the Landorus just as well. Now one final Pokemon from Joshua's side, and still an Indeedee in the back here. for Charel, but two Pokemon on the field sleeping and not really knowing what to do. If this Amoonguss does go down to anything, the Focus Sash on the Chimpao is broken. It is time for these Pokemon to really take a few turns of sleep for Joshua to be able to capitalize on this as well. Because as soon as Charel is able to wake up, Calyrex only has taken one turn of sleep. The Landorus hasn't taken any turns of sleep yet, so you're guaranteed to have a turn there. But what if Indeedee switches in there and being able to follow me and being able to protect your Pokemon? As that is the line of play that Charel is thinking. Indeedee switching in inside of the Landorus. Indeedee now onto the field, Psychic Terrain, being able to make sure that it is able to redirect any sort of move potentially. If that is what we're going for, Crunch, able to survive it. Let's see if the Amoonguss is going for the Sludge Bomb onto the slot. Calyrex still asleep. Unfortunately, Sludge Bomb, and that will prove to be enough for this Calyrex. And Landorus has not taken a single turn of sleep just yet, so that means this Landorus must be on the field for at least 2 turns, as is Indeedee. Can make sure to redirect one move, but not two, as Terra has been used. Onto the Calyrex, so being in this position, it is looking very rough for Charel. The Landorus is taking his first turn of mandatory sleep. Indeedee is actually not going for the defensive play. Ice Spinner into the Indeedee. If the Indeedee somehow was able to survive that, I could have proven to be useful, but now Ice Spinner being a 4 times effective move, and with this Sludge Bomb chip, I could prove it will most likely be enough to kill this Landorus. So with all of these sleep turns, it is proving to be enough. Rage Powder from the Amoonguss, trying to redirect the last attack from the Landorus. Ice Spinner going in, it is 4 times effective, and is it enough? It is enough, and that is GG, good game. We have been beaten by the Netherlands again. Yeah, you can laugh all you want. Come to Belgium. The events aren't free, but the CP sure is. Apparently, of course, that's what Joshua told me. He also said Belgium sucks. There's no local players aren't gearing up to come to him. So you hear that, locals? Come up, beat Joshua. That's what we want to do. Come on, let's get an army going. He's not agent. Thank God. Yeah, he's really disrespecting all of us right now. Come on, guys. Come on, Belgium. Step up. Step up. No, very well played by Joshua. And well deserved as well. GG's.